with something that pretty. Yes, it turned into love. And thank God for that. You know, I thank God for a good woman. I remember years ago, before we dedicated my life, we were heading up 85, living in Spartanburg, and the highway patrolman pulled us over. I didn't have my seatbelt on. So while he was walking up to the car, I buckled it. And he got up to the car, and I rolled the window down, and he said, "Let me see your license and registration." I showed him. He said, "Mr. Tripp, you know why I stopped you, don't you?" I said, "No, sir, I sure don't. I wasn't speeding." He said, "No, you wasn't speeding." He said, "You didn't have your seatbelt on." I said, "I've got it on." He said, "You didn't have it on when I stopped the car." I said, "I did too. And if you don't believe me, you ask my wife. She's sitting right here and she'll testify in court if necessary." He looked at Edith and said, "Miss Tripp, did your husband have his seatbelt on when I stopped the car?" She said, "Well, officer, if he said he had it on, he had it on." He said, "Why are you doing that? You know good and well he didn't have that seatbelt on when I stopped this car." She said, "Well, officer, I've learned a long time ago not to argue with LaVerne when he's drinking." Seatbelt wasn't a problem anymore.
That is not a true story.
Yeah, but it's a good story.
It could have been. A long time ago. You know what? We've been married 48 years. Have you ever heard about the couple that was married 50 years? Henry and Ethel.
Uh-oh.
And they went out on their anniversary date and had a 7-course meal. When they got to the dessert course, Ethel looked over at Henry and said, "Why, Henry, you got a tear coming down your face. I never knew you were so sentimental about things." And Henry looked at Ethel and said, "Well, you remember, Ethel, 50 years ago when your daddy called us out behind the barn? Well, he said, if you don't marry my daughter, I'm going to have you locked up for 50 years. And he said, I realized I could have been a free man today."
That's a good.
But LaVerne doesn't feel that way. You know, honey,
I wouldn't say so if I did, you know. I might not be stupid, but I'm crazy. Go ahead.
I just wanted to take this time to recognize a few people, special people in my life. And I thank you, Brother Sister, for having us here tonight. My heart is heavy. Not heavy, but joyous, I should say. I'm so grateful to come back to my home church and to see all of you here and to welcome us here. But Sister Mitchell, Thelma Mitchell, has been such a blessing to me over the years. She's 92 years old. Isn't that great? She's here with this purple hat.
Let me interrupt you before you finish about her, because she's the one you can tell them what she did. 48 years ago, I was in Oklahoma City. I had just got a job with a group that said they were going to pay me. I'd been there 4 weeks, and they paid me $85 a week, man.
We were rich.
And so I knew then I had money. $85 a week was big money then. So I called Edith on Monday night, and I asked her if she would marry me over the phone. She said
was afraid
yes.
He was going to go to Vietnam.
No, I don't. You're going to think I'm not patriotic. I might have to tell the patriotic story now.
Go ahead.
Well, they're going to think I did get married, so I wouldn't get drafted. I tried to join, sir. I'll tell you this. I got kicked out of homes 13 times. Finally, I went to Emmanuel College. That's another school in Pentecostal Holiness Church in Franklin Springs. And I've been there 2 months, and I had 150 demerits, more than you could have. And the president called me. He said, LaVerne, Mr. Drum was his name. He said, we'll let you stay if you'll change. I said, I can't change. I've tried to, and I can't. I was 18 years old. And I left that school, went to Gainesville, Georgia, didn't tell a soul what I was doing. And I decided I'd go ahead and join the service, go be a hero to Vietnam, come back home a hero. Then nothing would interfere with my music career. I didn't want anything to get in the way of my music career. So I took all my tests. I was fingerprinted and sitting, waiting to be sworn in, to get on the jet and go for my basic boot training. The telephone rang on the desk. It was my daddy in North Carolina. And they called me, telephone. I said, good night. Nobody knew where I was because I didn't tell anybody. And it was my dad. And he said, son, what are you doing? I said, how did you find me? He said, what are you doing? I said, how did you find me? He said, on the way to work this morning, I was praying for you. And the Lord told me what you were going to do today. And he said, if you do it, you won't come back. I said, how did you get? He said, he gave me the phone number. He said, if I give you the money, will you come home? I said, yes, sir, I sure will. I hung up and I told the sergeant, I said, I'm not joining. He said, it's too late. I said, I haven't been sworn in. He said, well, we're going to get you. I said, you'll have to. I'm out of here. And they never got me. So, just so you know, I wanted to be a hero. Now, in 1 week's time.
1 week's time.
And I asked her, would she marry me? She said, yes. I said, well, I want to get married this coming Sunday. And I want a church wedding. And she said, okay.
Yes, sir.
So go ahead real quick.
I've been saying yes, sir, ever since. But anyway, I was talking about Sister Mitchell, and she's just been a favorite of mine. I always loved the way she dressed, and I could get by with being a little different in my dress because she got by with it. My grandmother was a very, very strict lady, and every time Sister Mitchell would come to our house, we were just so glad because she would just have fun, and that's about the only time we ever saw Grandma laugh was when Sister Mitchell came. But anyway, I love you, Sister Thelma. And Junior Kate, he's a pioneer of this church, isn't he? And we honor you tonight. This was my mama's first love back here. And she'll tell you that. They used to hold hands. I don't think they ever kissed each other, but they held hands. And then I see Thomas Long. Thomas sang with us for how many years, Thomas? For
2 weeks.
A long time. And then he went with Brother Swagger. And my sisters are here tonight. Mary's here. Stand up, Mary. She's the only Mary that I call Mary. She was raised here in this church. And Narvis, you stand up, my other sister Narvis. I know your girls here. Narvis has the heart of Hannah at the shelter.
Y'all stand up, girls. Come on.
These are miracle girls standing. I'm so grateful. And I know there's several others here that have come out of this church, Brother Sistar. And I just think it needs to be said that I'm grateful to God that all of these ministers have come out of Easley. Yeah, Easley. I promote Easley all the time. So anyway, I just want to say that. And I love you young people. See,
you start lying and then this happens. I do too. I love young people. I used to go to school with them, man. That's good. Is Jesse here? No, I don't see him. I can't see though. Anyway, Dave, good to see you.
I had if you saw
Deborah,
Jesse.
yeah, Jesse covers up his bald head. Okay. All right. Is that it? I'm going to introduce the famous one from Easley here in a minute.
And I have a
But I just